I wanted to make links in this talk between the idea of the window of tolerance and the teaching from Buddhist psychology of right or wise effort. And the teaching of the window of tolerance originally comes from Dan Siegel. But I find this a very, very powerful thing. So to give you a sense of this, to give you an idea of this, many times in our lives, hopefully often, we're within this window of tolerance. So this means that we feel like we can deal with what life brings. There may be some ups and downs, maybe some difficult moments, unpleasant events that we face, as well as joys and happy times. But we are within a kind of window where we feel we can deal with this, cope with this, respond to what's happening. But then we find that there are times when we are pulled out of our window of tolerance. And this may happen in a couple of directions, according to this model. So there are times where we become hyper aroused, where there may be very overwhelming feelings of anxiety or anger. These are not things that we choose. It feels like something has kind of come over us, this kind of overwhelm of, very, very strong emotion. We may find the thoughts are really racing, the body feels tense, very strong impulses to act in a particular way. But at other times, we may be pulled out of our window of tolerance in the opposite direction, into what's called hypoarousal, where we feel more spacey, zoned out. There's a feeling more of numbness. And one of the things I'm suggesting is you may even reflect on times when either yourself or other people around you have gone into these spaces, and you can notice them. In my experience, again, whether it's noticing myself or other people, it can almost seem, this may sound a strong way of putting it, but almost seems like the person has become someone else. The way they're behaving or thinking, the way they're perceiving the world is quite different in these different states. And all kinds of things might trigger these for us. So, a classic example would be a difficult email. You may be, going along pretty okay in life, and then you get an email that really triggers something very, very strong. It might be something that you see on the news. It might be a really difficult conversation at a family gathering, or even the prospect of going to a family gathering. It might be an appraisal at work. So many things could do that. These are just examples. But one of the things this model also teaches us is that for those of us who've had particularly traumatic things happening to us, and there could be, different levels of that, what happens is our window of tolerance gets smaller. So we're more easily pulled out of this place where we feel balanced and okay and able to respond. This is one of the effects of trauma. And so, you may notice that, again, either in yourself or other people, that sometimes people can have what from the outside looks like a sort of disproportionately strong reaction to something that's happening. And we may say, in colloquial language, that something's been triggered in that person. The good news with this is that there are all kinds of ways that we might begin to expand our window of tolerance. And you could see many therapeutic approaches are seeking to do that. We could see, I think, our whole practice of meditation, mindfulness, practice of the whole path, also is including this aspect of expanding this window. As I mentioned, I wanted to link this, and make some imaginative links here with the classical teaching on right or wise effort in Buddhism, which is called samma vayama in Pali. So I'm not at all implying a kind of exact equivalence, but I think there's some interesting connections between the window of tolerance, how we might relate to that and this teaching. So right or wise effort has different elements to it. Our states of mind are divided, on the one hand, into wholesome and unwholesome. And they're also divided into arisen and non-arisen. So if you put those together, you actually get 4 particular things that are involved in wise effort. Yeah? And just to make that clear. So with wholesome states of mind, there's the effort to develop wholesome states that are not yet here. That's the first. There's the effort to develop wholesome states further that are here, to sustain them, to allow them to grow. And with unwholesome, there's the effort to prevent the arising of unwholesome states. There may not be any around, but we make some effort to prevent them arising. And there's the effort to let go of those that have arisen. And so there are some similarities that I think are interesting between what might be called these unwholesome states in the Buddhist tradition and being pulled out of the window of tolerance in the other model that I was sharing. There's, some affinities there that I think are interesting.